Mala kings built their palaces in the 14th century, with Kathmandu as their capital. They encouraged the finest in architecture and art. Drawing from the rich cross-cultural influences of religions practiced by the traders and pilgrims. Today, the artistry and craftsmanship are evident everywhere. In these preserved kingdoms, life goes on the way it did in medieval times. The descendants continue to live here, self-contained, self-sufficient, keeping to the age-old traditions. I was constantly amazed by the different weaving techniques. This one is traditional to the Nuwari women. Called potasi, it's a heavy cotton sari 5 meters long in black and red. Black is practical and red festive and always in fashion. So it's popular streetwear, functional and elegant for both young and old. In the back alleys, I found work that fascinated me.
This is the local Dhaka cotton.
I was often invited to see the backyard workshops. Those who can weave find that the demands keep them busy. Once spinning wheels and looms were part of a woman's dowry, an ancient tradition finding its place in the modern world. It's a skill the young would still pursue if it means there's a chance to earn a living. But the work can be painstaking. Like in this Dhaka weaving, it's time-consuming. Each colored thread has to be individually inserted, requiring patience and skill. Much of what they produce here finds their way to the shops in Kathmandu. This shop in the tourist belt is stocked with items, most of them the handiwork of the Nepalese women.
Woman?
Yeah, woman.
Very nice, yeah?
Yeah.
Can you explain this?
Yeah.
This handwork? What is this?
So this is made of jute.
Yeah?
It's a natural fabric.
Yeah.
This kind of jute we find in our village in Janakpur, you know.
Yeah.
So we cut the tree, put in the water, and
Yeah.
we make ourselves.
And this one is very nice mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is very typical Janakpur style, isn't it?
Yes.
I think it's a very good example of women enterprise at work. It allows women to work and generate income to be self-sufficient. So that's very, very good work. Apart from the art itself, it is the employment.
As long as there is a demand in the shops from tourists and locals alike, there is work to be done and a reason to keep the craft alive. And of all the handicrafts, I saw in the fabrics the women wove a potential beyond Nepal.
I think generally women in Nepal are very good with their hands. It's just whether they're given the opportunity and a guiding hand.
And so when my 2-year term as a volunteer was up, I decided to stay on, to continue the work with the women. But there were many pitfalls and challenges ahead. Pashmina shawls were one of Nepal's top exports. Beyond that, I was drawn to its exquisite beauty. I had decided to build a business with Pashmina.
So from the very beginning, what the women were doing were pieces which were very raw. The color schemes were really not really appealing to international buyers, for example, like that. So my challenge was to transfer my ideas of what the world wants in terms of quality, design and color, as well as the yarn quality that the world is looking for, into them, to transport them from what they were used to, which is really for the local market, and what the world is looking for, which is really, really high-end, special pieces, few pieces and beautiful colors. So at the tail end of my term with the Mirco-credit project, I saw a need to continue this trade because some of the women took loans from the project that I was working with, and I wanted to continue with them and take them a level higher for the sake of art and for the sake of doing something meaningful with them, for me. So the journey began in that kind of background with zero knowledge of Pashmina.
Life for me came to be centered on my work with those who weave Pashmina. They have inherited a craft centuries old. In ancient times, weavers were given the best yarn and the time to produce the exquisite, genuine Pashmina shawls. It was the only way to make Pashmina, and I wanted to preserve this tradition and way of production. But there were grave challenges. First, the very popularity of Pashmina had led to mass production.
Hello, namaste.
Imitations had also started to surface, all this forcing prices down. This and the prolonged global economic downturn nearly brought about the total collapse in the industry. And there is still one more threat.
Pashminas in Nepal generally are woven and sent to India for finishing and dyeing and beading and embroidering and sent to the whole world. So this sort of processing, where part of it is done in Nepal and the other part of it is done in India, takes away the opportunity for the weavers in Nepal to do the full procedure, the full process from A to Z. So if that continues, they will lose the craft and the ability to produce very good Pashmina from the beginning to the end.
Because of the problems, 90% of the Pashmina factories were shut down. I was concerned that the traditional weavers would give up producing quality shawls. For the people I work with and the business, I was determined not to let that happen. And there's also these children who need looking after in a proper home. Their parents are in jail. Indeed, there are many who need help. I give from my income in producing Pashminas. And of course, for myself. The corporate world I once knew, a salaried job, was a world away.
Atau bala dini?
Which umaleko?
Pagi ko.
Pagi ko.
Pagi ko.
I could not go back to that life again.
Pagi ko.
I had a taste of Nepal and experienced a totally different world.
Very nice, very sweet.
Next week, we go in search of Pashmina, one and the same as the fleece on these Himalayan goats. In the 16th century, on orders from the Mughal emperor, a group of royal scouts set off on a hazardous journey into the unknown and hostile landscape of the Himalayas. In search of something more precious than diamonds. They were on a mission to find a fleece as light as a cloud and as warm as an embrace. It's known as Pashmina, found on these animals, the finest of mountain goats. I came to know of its exquisite quality only as the 20th century came to a close. It was to change the course of my life. Nepal was a forbidden territory, unknown to the world, until secret expeditions began to unravel its wonders. The discovery of Mount Everest, east from here, coincided with Nepal opening up her doors to the world in the 1950s and set the road to modernization. Today, Kathmandu thrives on the tourist dollar, appealing to mountain trekkers worldwide. Ancient traditions are caught in the intricacies of modern economies. So too the old ways of producing pashminas. This is something I continue to grapple with. Develop my business in pashminas for a world market. And an ongoing part of my work is a commitment to Uday. He was to surprise me on one of my return visits.